Hey, what do you know? This is the Melvin Live show. Before we get any further, I just want to kind of keep you updated. I I was being tested for COVID today. Yeah, so if you kind of find my voice a little funky, just so you know that it is not because I am faking it, but the real reason is because I started getting that sore throat, the runny nose, and the body aches. And I reckon that the most responsible thing to do was to get myself tested so that, in the event that I'm in the clear, that's good. Because otherwise, I'll be going out with I'll be going out doing my work, and then, unknowingly, I'll be going around infecting other people, and that's not something that is going to be socially responsible. So, hence, that's the thing. So, in any case, for the next 2 to 3 days, I'm going to be stuck here at home, work from home. I can't even get out, not even to get out to, buy food or anything. So, but that is what it is. So, just so you know. Now, I have a. I was just trying to see whether I could experiment with something, and so I'm just trying out this second angle here to kind of find how it is, and so that I'm able to make the best use of all the equipment that I have, and not just have them sitting in cold storage itself. So, that it's like the second angle, and now we're gonna go back to the first angle. Right. And so tonight I want to talk about this whole idea of the map is flawed. But before we get into that, I just want to say a huge thing here is that if you by any chance are watching this on LinkedIn, um, please drop me a note because I've got something really special for all my LinkedIn fans. So please drop me a note. Please drop me a comment, and I will reach out to you. I just want to give you something that it's just to give back to that community, that audience that I have on LinkedIn itself. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, make sure you leave me a comment. I will be more than glad to send you something. Right. And for the rest of you, if you haven't already, please check out livestream.rocks. And the whole idea with livestream.rocks is the following, right? I just want to create an A to Z guide. And this A to Z guide itself, it's really to give you a sense of what to do when it comes to live streaming. So in chapter one, we talked about audience. In chapter two, we talked about business objective, and in chapter three, we talked about content, right? And so each of this chapter gives you a brief idea of what's happening and what is that topic in relation to live streaming in against the backdrop of 2021. Because as I mentioned, in 2020, many people have taken on live streaming, and that is something good. However, what that means is that if you are not also using live streaming as a tool for your business, then you are greatly missing out. But then there are some of you who are a little hesitant, and you would want more information, want more, um, you know, details or prep or a plan to kind of help you chart your path towards that. Towards using live stream itself, then definitely check out livestream.rocks, because that is where I will share with you the A to Z um, chapters, and essentially that talks about each aspect of it. So each aspect, we'll talk a little bit something. I'll share what my thoughts are. This is all curated from all over the internet, and then I will share with you what is the framework to work on that particular topic itself. And if you would like to go deep, there will be a worksheet that you can use to go deep into the process itself and to help you figure out what are some of the things that you can look at with regards to live streaming. All right. And so, with that, let's come to today's topic. Now, today's topic I'd like to talk about is the idea of the map is flawed, right? The mental map is flawed. I think many of you have heard of the sentence or the phrase. It says that the map is not the territory. Now, what exactly does that mean when you say the map is not the territory? So, to give you a little bit of a background itself, I'd like to tell you a story. So, a man walks into a therapist one day and he sat down with the therapist and he started telling the therapist, I have worked with so many people, and every company I go to, I just meet all these horrible bosses, right? And if things are not good at work, they're even worse at home because I have went through three divorces, and each of my wives were, or my ex-wives were, just basically bad people. And what's wrong with all these people, right? I mean, all these people are so wrong and so imperfect. Why can't they be more like me? Now, imagine if that guy, when instead of going to see the therapist, came up to see you, what would your response be for that person? I mean, I'm sure we all know someone like that in our interaction with people, right? And when it comes to this group of people, sometimes the problem is always out there, right? The problem is never me, or the problem is never, my issue, but the problem is always out there. It's always someone else's mistake, someone else's flaw. Now, if you know someone like that, just type yes in the comments, and share with me who might that one person be, right? Who is like that. Now, and so the premise of that essentially is that people like this, they tend to have a mental model that looks at things in a fundamentally different way from the rest of us, right? So there are some people whereby no matter how well anything is going, they can always look for something that is wrong, right? Likewise, there would be some people where whenever things are not going well, right, even in the worst of times, they will always be able to see the positive in those crises itself. So the question is, what makes one person so different from the other? Now, the answer that comes to that is essentially our worldview, right? The way that we look at a particular situation or an event. So, for example, if you and I were to witness an accident, you might focus on a certain aspects of it, and I may focus on other aspects. So, for instance, one person could be very much focused on how badly the car is damaged. Another person will be more focused in terms of the people in the car, and how lucky they were to go through a crash like that and escape with just minor bruises. So one would be focused on the car, and the other will be focused on the people. Now, but yet both of them actually just witnessed the same accident. So what's going on here? Well, what's going on here, as I mentioned, it's the worldview and it's your representation, right? So with a particular representation itself, we tend to see things in a different way from how other people see it. Now, the question is there one worldview that it's better than the other? Well, what do you think? Do you think one worldview is better than the other? Is there a better worldview? I mean, if we were to put them in terms of a hierarchy, what would you say? What is the best worldview? What is the second best worldview? What is the third best worldview? Well, just leave it in the comments. Let me know, right? So really, I mean, there are actually no, you know, uh, good um, mental model and not good mental model in that respect. As in, like, if you were to compare, you know, a mental model with another one, it doesn't make one better than the other. So, what are we getting at here simply? Well, what we're getting at here simply is the fact that there isn't a predominant mental model that it's far superior, but what we are looking out for or what we are hoping to achieve is the following, right? And so the main thing that we really want to achieve here is that we want to be able to, at at two dimensions. One dimension is to understand that our mental model may not be full and complete, right? So everybody's mental model, it's flawed in some ways, because how you view things and how I view things will be very different, right? You may have a focus on a certain aspect and I on something else, right? But that doesn't make yours better than mine under normal circumstances, right? So the first premise is to understand that all our mental models are flawed, all our mental models are imperfect. And because it is imperfect, the way that we think how the world works is going to be imperfect as well. So, we would almost never get something right the very first time we try it, be it live streaming, be it walking as a child, be it speaking as a toddler. You know, we would never get something right at the first time unless it's something really, really simple, right? And even for things that are, arguably very simple, sometimes we even get it wrong. And the reason why we get it wrong is not just because we do not have the skill set, but because of the way that we think the world function, it's not complete. And so because it's not complete itself, we will attempt to do something and inevitably we will not get it right because there are certain variables that we can control. And on the same note, there are many, many different variables that we cannot control. And so that is the first level, right? All mental models are flawed, all mental models are imperfect. Now, the second level, and it's what will need to think about, is that, how do you expand your worldview, right? So the crucial thing here is not about, how to become better, but what you want to do, it's how do you expand your worldview. Now, when we talk about expanding the worldview itself, we are saying that how could we, go deeper, go wider, or go longer in terms of the way that we are looking at the world. And sometimes, it's because we lack the depth. That's why we are not able to get it right the first time. Sometimes it's because we lack the breath. And so, when in under some circumstances we will be good at it, but under other circumstances we may not be as good as the previous one, right? And sometimes it's because of the length, right? We may be good up to a certain point, but beyond that, we start to diminish in terms of our performance. So what we really want to do is to be able to go deeper, go wider, or go longer. So if you think about it, I'd like you to picture in your mind a square, right? Now, how many of you out there wants to be a square? Well, I think for some of us, other than Huey Lewis, we think it's not hip to be square, right? So really, the key idea here is that if you are a square, what do you want to become, right? What you want to become is not to become a triangle or a circle, but what you really want to become, and in the context of us, when we're talking about mental model, is that you want to go from a square to a cube. Because when you do that, you have depth, you have length, and you have breadth, right? And so first part is really to recognize that all our mental models are flawed. So, no one is more right than another person, right? No one is absolutely right than the other person. But what we need to do is we want to be able to expand our mental model, our worldview, our perspective. And the wider we can expand our worldview, the more value we can provide to our audience here. So, how does this work in the context of live streaming? Now, let's take a look at a few scenarios here. Now, scenario number one is that you are just starting out doing live streaming, right? And what you want to do is you want to get good at a particular area, but you are also looking at how other people are doing live streaming, and so, this is where you want to get good at one area, but at the same time, you also want to become a master in other aspect as well. So here's the thing, right? As a new live streamer, what you really want to do is that you want to pick an area, and then you want to develop a deeper level of competency in that area itself, right? So the first question that you would have for me would be, so how do I know what area to go deeper into? And the answer to that question is going to sound contradictory, but in actual fact, it is not. Because the first thing you want to do, especially when you are just starting out, is that you want to try a lot of things, right? You want to try different ways. So, for example, you want to try live streaming, in a home studio. You want to try live streaming with just one camera, or you want to try live streaming with dual camera, or you want to try live streaming, bring on a guest, or you want to try live streaming as you're walking down the street, for example, right? So you want to try all the different types of live stream content, the different types of it, right? And once you have tried all that, then what you want to do is you want to review and see whether the feedback that you get. Recall I said the other day that you only need feedback from one person, and that one person is your audience. So what you want to do is you want to get feedback from your audience and have them tell you, right, which aspect of it is it, do they find it most refreshing, and also most valuable to them. Okay, and of course, you will have different people who will tell you different things, and what you must not do is you must not get confused, right? What you are gathering is essentially you are gathering data, but that data itself, you need to understand that it's coming from a worldview or a mental model of another person, and that person may not share the same mental model as you. So, what you really want to take note here is that you want to ask yourself, what is the worldview? Why is this person saying that? Right? And then from there, you can then decide whether to take that person's suggestion or to leave it. Right? So rule number one is that if you're just starting out, right? If you're just starting out, I would urge that you try a whole series of different formats and see which one is the one that works best for you, which one is the one that you feel most in your skin, which one that you feel that it's something that you are comfortable doing. Because mind you, when you're just starting out, you want to do something that you're comfortable in. Because if you're not comfortable with it, then the chances of you continuing with it is going to be slim to none, right? So that's something that you want to do. You want to feel comfortable, and yet you want to experiment, right? And once you've done the experiment, so give yourself like 2 or 3 weeks, for example. Experiment with a few formats, with a few ways of doing live streaming, and then get some feedback. And from that feedback itself, you then decide which one is the one that you want to go deep, right? And so for the second group of you who have been using live stream, but and you think you are enjoying it, but you're scratching your head like, how do I monetize this, or how do I benefit from this? Now, if at any point in time you're asking yourself that question, then I think the most important question that you have to ask yourself is the following: are you solely dependent on live streaming to give you that immediate income, right? Are you dependent on live streaming to give you that immediate income or revenue? So some of us may be in that situation. We may be faced with a situation that we have a store full of stocks, and we want to be able to sell it. However, due to constraint of COVID, due to constraint of the fact that, like me, now I'm stuck at home for the next couple of days, I got to think of ways that I am able to, instead of you coming to me, let me bring the product to you. So, for those of you who are really depending on live streaming to give you that immediate revenue itself, then the way to think about this is as follows, right? You want to know that your mental model, it is not the same as the people that you want to reach. So what I'm saying here really is that if you have been doing live streaming for some time, and you want to be able to monetize that, you want to see immediate income, that you really want to get into the head of your audience, right? And so, how do you get into the head of the audience? What you can do is to pick up an empathy map, or go to Google and search for an empathy map, right? Or leave me a comment and I'll send you, leave me a comment and says empathy map and I'll send you one, right? So you want to use an empathy map to really dive deep into what's the mental model of your audience itself. And so that's something that you could do. Or the other thing that you can do is get on the phone, right? Get on a call with some of your prospects, and then ask them what is it that they are struggling with, and what is it that they are looking for, right? And with that itself, you will then be able to develop a product for them. So that is for the second group. Now, for the third group, who are looking at, using, like me, using live streaming as not just a means to reach out to more people, but also, to use live streaming to actually build a library of what we call digital assets. If that is you, then the mental model that you really want to embrace is as follows: you really want to think of it as a long-term thing, right? So in the immediate outcome itself, you are not going to see much of an outcome. But what you're going to see is you're going to see lots of output, right? So every single video you make is an output, but that output doesn't lead to an outcome, at least not yet. Because when you put up a video like this, you probably get, like, 5 views, 8 views, 10 views, 80 views. And even with those views itself, you're not getting much traction. You're not getting much, benefit from that. But what you need to know is that you are not looking at, with each video, what is the output. What you're looking at is, you are looking at, with each video, you want to become better, right? And becoming better could be in terms of your production quality, or becoming better could be in terms of the content that you're presenting, or becoming better means that, you are exploring other different formats that makes your show a bit more, engaging or interesting to your audience itself, right? So the mental model here really is go long term, and you are going to see a lot of output, but not necessarily a lot of outcome. Now, if for some reason, you see a positive outcome, well and good, right? Like, for example, for me, because of the live stream itself, it has opened up opportunities for me, and he has given me the ability to help a company produce their own live show, and in addition to that, to be able to help, a regional company think about using new media to reach out to their existing customer base itself. right? So all those are, I would say, by the way, organic kind of a sales that you get from this whole process itself. But do not expect that in the process of you doing your live stream, you are going to be seeing that kind of outcome, right? So here in the long term, if you're looking at building digital assets, really what we're talking about here, it's more in terms of output than outcome. All right. So what I really encourage you to do right now, it's really to go back and rethink, and be clear about which category of a live streamer are you. Are you the type that, for example, it's looking at, you know, just starting out, right? Then what is the mental model that you need to embrace? If you're someone who has already been live streaming for some time, and you want to be able to um, get immediate revenue from that, then the second option, it's the second mental model, is what you want to embrace. And the third one is, if you're looking at something that is a bit more long term, then definitely what you want to do is you want to think about, you know um, more of output than outcome. So you've got to be prepared to do the work, and doing the work, it's what it's most important at this point in time. All right, so with that, I thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you get something out of this. If you did, please help me. Let me know by hitting the like button, and let me know by also leaving a comment and letting me know what are your thoughts. Right? I mean, which one are you at? So let me know. Which type of live streamer are you? Are you the beginner, or is someone who is looking at getting immediate revenue, or are you the third one who is actually looking at building a library of digital asset, right? So which category of a live streamer do you fall under, right? And once again, of course, if you have got questions, I'll be more than glad to answer them. And nothing is wrong with my map, right? But everything, it's wrong with my map. All right. And with that, I thank you so much for watching, and wish me luck as I await my COVID-19 results itself. But, keep me in the prayers, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.